Hey, it's Jairus Days, and this is your Daily Detroit for Friday, January 29th, 2021. Today, it's kind of a toolkit episode of sorts, maybe something to help us out. Because look, the uncertainty of 2020 has crept into this year. Whether it's questions about when the vaccine is going to be available, to how long this whole pandemic will last, political stuff, changes from the internet, all the things that people get all crazy about on Twitter. There's a lot going on, and a lot of us don't know what's next. So with that in mind, my conversation today is with Latasha James. She's local, owns James and Park, and is the host of the Freelance Friday podcast. Recently, she had an episode, 5 Habits I'm Changing in the New Year, and look, it caught my attention because I thought some of that would be useful for all of us, and it was useful to me. So let's learn to control what we can and try as the best as we can do to focus on that. Latasha James, welcome to Daily Detroit.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be back here.
So I wanted to touch base with you about the things that you can actually control and start the conversation there, because I thought your episode brought a lot of value because I think people are looking at it going, well, what do I do now? The world is so crazy, the news, blah, blah, blah. And like, we have to kind of get a hold of things ourselves somehow.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there's two sides of that. I work with a lot of other business owners and freelancers who are feeling very trapped in their homes, very stressed out about what's going on with their clients. And what I always say to them is make sure that you're taking care of yourself and not just your business too. So I think that's something that, we can get really frustrated with what's going on in the business world and the numbers. And don't get me wrong, that's important. But especially in a time like this, you need to make sure that you're moving, the little things, just getting up and taking a walk. One of my resolutions this year is to leave my house once a day, it's like the lowest bar. But even if it's just going on my balcony or go for a walk, those things can really make an impact on how your business is going. I think that's one side of things, is making sure that you're taking care of you, the person, not just your business.
I think that's so crucial. And throughout, it's kind of funny. There is a coffee window that opened up a few blocks from my house, and it has been a salvation to just take the dog there. And I know that there's all these pressures to constantly answer emails, constantly be on call. There's something I hear from listeners, whether they work for themselves or work for someone else. It feels like they're constantly answering email. The workday never ends. And there are times where I just say, you know what? You're not getting responded to. I'm taking the dogs. We are walking to the coffee window, and it's not that I can't make my own coffee. It's that I want the experience to get out, get some air, actually, even with masks on, see some humans in a pretty relatively safe situation, considering you're outdoors the whole time, all that kind of stuff, and get some exercise. Like for me, I don't have like a family here. I have a roommate, but like I don't have a ton of people around. And although I love my neighborhood and great people, it's still rather lonesome here at times. And you got to get out there and see people.
Absolutely. And I think having some sense of normalcy as well, if it's the daily walk that you take your dog on, grabbing that cup of coffee, whatever you can do to add some type of routine. Because I think a lot of people really struggle. I know I'm one of those people who struggles when I don't have a routine. And that was something that I guess luckily I kind of went through when I first started my own business, adjusting from corporate world to freelance life. But a lot of people are just experiencing it for the first time now. Like you said, even corporate workers who are working from home, having no routine, it can really wreak havoc on your body and your mind. Sleep schedules is another thing, making sure that you're getting a proper amount of sleep and that you're waking up at the same time and going to bed at the same time every day. That's another one of my personal resolutions, since I'm a huge night owl.
Well, I think that's a big one. And you mentioned night owl. I started out my career actually working night and early morning shift for a TV station. So early on, my whole thing, I can do early mornings, and I have, right? Like news things happen, whatever. Mm-hmm. But in reality, I've just always been more accustomed to that like afternoon schedule and things. One of the things I thought that you highlighted that was interesting, so many times in my corporate career, I have been told early bird gets the worm, all that other kind of stuff. And I have been through so many 7 a.m. stand-up calls in my life that it doesn't matter what time you wake up. It's that you have a routine. And I think it's important for people to give themselves some grace if they have the ability to say, oh, if I'm working virtually and showing up at 10 and working till 6 works better for me, I think it's okay to do that.
And I think if that can be a little silver lining in, the situation that you're in, if you can learn how to see some positives as best as you can to your workday. Maybe that is that you get to start a little bit later. Maybe it is that you get to cook, a fresh lunch for yourself instead of boring cafeteria food. So finding those little points that you can smile about, I think are huge too. Because hey, I chose to work from home and I have been doing it for years, and there are a lot of benefits to it. So seeing the bright side of it is important too. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I did some research for that episode because I've fallen prey to that myth too, that, you have to be this 5 a.m. riser. And I've tried it, believe me. And it just doesn't work for me. My body just doesn't prefer it. I can do it if I have to, but it's not what my body likes. So I did some research, and pretty much the sleep experts said you just need the same amount every night. Doesn't matter what time it is. Most people have a natural rhythm that is a little more traditional, where, you go to sleep at 10 and wake up at 7 or whatever it is, but not everybody is naturally wired that way.
For sure. Now, what are some other things that you've experienced over 2020 that we can kind of carry into 2021 with this eye to uncertainty? Because, of course, when the weather gets better, our options are going to open up regardless. But with all those clouds out there, with all those, I have multiple emails in my inbox from listeners going, I'm not coming back to my office till June. What do I do? And there's so many work situations too. Like if you've got kids, some people love being with them. Other people feel like they can't get any work done and they need the separation. One of the keys to me has been individuality, and that everybody's life experience is different. And that might even change where they are in their life. Like when you have kids versus you don't, and maybe some more flexibility in the workplace is key.
Absolutely. And I think being honest about where you are is important too. Being honest with the people in your life, whether that's colleagues, partners, family, whoever that is. Because, my sister, she has 3 kids. Her life has completely changed since, a year ago. So having that communication with one another helps set expectations. And I think you mentioned the relationship piece. I think that can really help. There's friends that I haven't seen all year, and it's important to be on the same page with them and just, let people know where you're at. Let people know why you're so busy or why you just don't have the bandwidth to have that another Zoom call. I'm like zoomed out. I think a lot of us are.
That makes me think of something I've done, and I think it's to the surprise of some, is I've kind of been on an almost Facebook hiatus. Like for work stuff, I'm still there because, with us, we've got about 67,000 fans on Facebook. We've got an active listener group. But outside of that, for my own self, I have found it really important to change how I consume media to help me create better content. And I don't know if that relates to the digital marketing space as much, because we're not really digital marketers over here. But not only create better content, but also when I think about content, not just as a digital marketer, but better conversations with your family, better conversations with the people you do have, instead of getting into this maelstrom that has been just enveloped everything the last year.
Yeah, it's pretty hard as a digital marketer to take a true digital detox. So that is one of those things I'm waiting for the day when I can go fully offline. I'll be really excited about that. So I haven't fully unplugged, but I definitely am trying to monitor my usage. That's one thing. If you have an iPhone, I have a bedtime set for like 8 p.m. So my phone makes it really hard for me to actually open my phone after 8 p.m. That's another thing for remote workers that I definitely recommend. If you're trying to set some boundaries with your employer or with your clients, just setting a cutoff time for yourself. That also prevents some of that mindless scrolling, because especially when, during the election, I would just get lost on Twitter for hours. And it's like, what am I doing? I could be talking to people in my life and having real authentic conversations versus just seeing what everybody else is talking about and getting upset at strangers and trolls,
The doom scroll is real. And a few times on social media, we've actually just posted on Instagram, stop doom scrolling. And I know that that's the reverse of what a lot of marketing and media folks want to do, because the incentive for so much media is to try to get you to be there all the time and to never leave it, because that's how a lot of, and I don't want to throw stones at corporate media per se, but that's the business model. Keep you engaged, show you ads, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's important that we're a little bit healthier with that kind of thing. And I think also a little bit healthier with our relationships just in general.
Absolutely. And I think being intentional, because the internet has also been amazing during this. Like, I don't want to talk badly on the internet. I mean, it's how you and I are having a conversation right now. So it is keeping us connected, but I'm trying to be very intentional about what I am watching. So I'm really into education right now. First of all, I've been reading so many books lately, but also what I'm watching on YouTube. I'll type in a tutorial and brush up on a software that I want to learn or learn a skill that I haven't learned before. And not to say, feel whatever you're feeling. I'm not trying to push on anybody that you need to be improving yourself and getting an extra degree or anything during this quarantine. That's not what I'm about. But if you feel inclined and if you feel motivated to, try to use the time to actually enrich your life a little bit versus that doom scroll that you mentioned.
I think, too, it's important to not just learn things that involve your work, right? Like, it can be about fun stuff. You can open up your eyes to different parts of the internet that you never thought of that are just into the stuff that you're into, whether you're into great furniture, or I watched a 4-minute video on an Australian flightless parrot I never knew I existed. Fully admit that. I got lost in it. And what I found is if you start consuming better stuff, the algorithms start recommending better stuff. And I think that's crucial to kind of curate all of that feed.
Yeah, it's important to understand how those algorithms work. And the more that you do focus on, maybe those more clickbaity things that are a little bit more negative, the more you're going to be served those things up. So I totally agree. One thing that I've been loving to watch is travel vlogs and flight attendant vlogs, just because I have the travel bug hard, as I think a lot of us do. So being able to escape a little bit in that way is nice. It's a little sad though too, because it gives you major FOMO.
Oh, totally. Although, have you checked out Johnny Harris and Is Harris? That's a good travel vlog.
No, I'll have to check it out.
Check them out. They're pretty great. Johnny actually used to be a Vox reporter and now does a lot of independent work with maps. It's all beautiful stuff. So it'll mix your travel love along with learning about the world. It's super crazy, but it's super good. But anyway, enough of my recommendations. Is there anything else to make sure to think about when, we're coming up over the next few months, what you see kind of happening and ways to, just help lift each other up?
Well, that's something that speaking of social media and lifting people up, is I created this document for myself, a daily document, a checklist that I'm doing every day. And a lot of it's just business stuff, metrics and stuff. But I also have a little checklist where I want to make sure that I'm leaving 5 positive comments for people every day. And it's a very small thing, but sometimes just in this fast-paced world that we're living in and this news cycle that we're living in, it can be easy to forget to leave a nice comment on the Daily Detroit Instagram or whoever, your friend's Instagram or Facebook. So just those little things, they give you a little boost, but then they're also, spreading the cheer and hopefully encouraging someone else to do the same.
That is a great idea. And I think more people should definitely do that, because most people, they tend to enjoy what's going on out there, but it's those really loud few people, nothing reacts quicker when somebody's for some reason, very outraged about something, and often they're rather uninformed about their outrage too. But it's an emotional thing. I found this creating content that often people are not actually upset at what you posted. They're upset about something in their life. It's actually a reflection on what's going wrong with them and not really a logical conversation about whatever it is you posted or whatever you're discussing.
Always. I mean, I've watched plenty of videos that I don't like in my life, and I have never once called somebody an ugly airhead, which is the latest one.
Oh,
that was one that I got on YouTube the other day. So hurt people. That's a very real statement. So I always try to keep that in mind for any potential creators who are listening. Keep that in mind. It, just like you said, it's never personal. It's just, a way to kind of get that negative energy out somehow. And I think sending people a little bit of love, whether they're a content creator or just a friend that it goes a long way.
Well, if people want to send you a little bit of love, where can they follow you?
I'm most active on YouTube, so you can just search my name, Latasha James, on YouTube search, and you'll find my channel. And then the podcast is called the Freelance Friday Podcast. And you can pretty much find everything else from there.
Awesome. Well, Latasha James, thank you so much. And until next time.
Thank you.
And we are done for today and the week. What a ride. Thanks are in order, as it is a Friday. Cheyenne Oserini for producing and dropping off some more swag to our Patreon members. Fletcher Sharp, Randy Walker, engineer extraordinaire, who I think we're going to have on for a segment about a podcast app you might want to try if you're into privacy. Kind of cool to check out. He was telling me about it. Also, Devin O'Reilly. And of course, thanks to you for listening. If you've got feedback for the show, and I know I have some emails to answer, jer@dailydetroit.com, or leave us a voicemail at 313-789-3211. We might play it on the show. And finally, yes, we have a Patreon. That's at patreon.com/dailydetroit. We've also got options if you want to help underwrite the show, which is a neat opportunity. With that, I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and I'll see you around Detroit. Have a very good weekend.